Heavenly Father, please watch over us as we discuss the agenda items tonight and make the decisions for the city of China Grove. Please also be with the family of Pat Carroll, our wife of our former city council member Herb Carroll, who passed away this week. May you bring them peace and solace for the sorrow that they're going through. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We turn all the cell phones off. Yeah,
Except for fire.
thank you. We do not have the minutes for the last two meetings. City Secretary Linda Gill has resigned. Hopefully that'll happen for the next meeting. Council reports, we have a statement by Councilman Alice Cole.
I would like to thank the citizens of China Grove who made it possible for me to serve on this council. I have completed the requirements needed to serve on the council and have received my certification certificates. I take this position very serious and plan to make our city the best it can be. We all must work together as a united council to make positive changes. It will be an honor to serve the citizens of China Grove. Thank you again.
I'd like to thank all the citizens that participated in our last election. It's probably one of the largest elections that China Grove has ever had. It was a real good turnout. And I think the issues were clear. The voters knew what they were voting on. And the will of the people was spoken. And what they said was they want their city back. I did a lot of block walking and talking to different people, trying to find out exactly what the citizens really wanted for us to do. It was very enjoyable. Got a lot of compliments. He said that this election was run probably the way the election should be run. We sent out flyers with the issues, and we followed up with knocking on doors and talking and asking questions, see if they had any questions and opinions. And the citizens really liked it. They kind of told us what they wanted, and they said that they kind of felt the one-on-one issues that we talked to them about was very knowledgeable to them, and they enjoyed it. I also took the online course, the government training course. It's a new law they passed in 2006, it's a state law that all elected officials must take two courses. It's the Information Act and the Open Meetings Act. And we both, Alice and I both took the courses as required. We have certificates that will also have to be by state law, have to be turned into the secretary, and be kept on file. We put some agenda items together tonight. Want to get a few things done right away. So we have some things to get going on with. We'll see. I also met with the engineer on the roads, had a nice discussion with him, and we'll be talking about roads tonight also. Looking forward to serving you. Thank you.
I'd like to welcome both Alice and Glenn as council members to the council. Look forward to working with y'all, the whole council, try to unify this city. Our secretary, Linda Gill, turned in her resignation Tuesday. So I'm appointing the court administrator as the interim city secretary for this meeting. The next item on the agenda is the staff reports. Financial, we don't have it, the secretary. List report, court administrator.
For the month of May, which will be accounted for May and some for Tuesday for our last court session we had. Kept by the city was $3,529.68. Remitted to the city was $3,069.42, and that gives us a total of $6,599.
Okay, is that right? Larry? Police department?
Good evening. We had a total of 21 calls, and we wrote 96 traffic tickets. Okay, on 5/3 at 3:45, business alarm was at 2482 South Foster Road. On 5/3 at 9:50 p.m., a traffic hazard was on 1516 at Triple Pines. 5/6/14 at 11:44 a.m. Family disturbance at 1719 FM 1516. And we have on 5/7/14 11:50 a.m. We have a GLK at 2735 FM 1516. And 5/8/8:30 a.m. We had a code compliance at 3108 Triple Meadows at 5/8/14. At 9 o'clock, we have total compliance at 740 via Kuma. 5/9/14, we have 3:25 p.m. We have extrajudicial alarm at 7718 Triple N. And 5/10/14 at 4:41 p.m. Vehicle accident at a private driveway. That was at 3562 Real Road. 5/11/14 at 4:30 p.m. We have a civil standby at 7114 to Benita. 5/13/14 at 8:11 a.m. We assisted the fire department at 8943 Highway 87 East, and that was a telephone total on fire. 5/13/14 3:50 p.m. We assisted Bear County with a major accident at 8491 Highway 87 East. 5/22/14 at 9:25 a.m. We assisted Bear County with a verbal disturbance at 1719 FM 1516. And 5/24/14 8 p.m. We had code compliance at 7393 Highway 87 East. 5/25, 3:22 p.m. We have a business alarm at 7640 Highway 87 East. 5/26/14 at 8:50 a.m. Business alarm at 7411 Highway 87 East. And 5/28/14 at 9:30 a.m. We assisted Bear County with a burglary at 2474 South Foster Road. And 5/28/14 at 2:25 p.m. We got an animal call at 3541 Mack Drive. And 5/29/14, 2:15 p.m. We had a traffic hazard on Highway 87 at Triple Trees. And 5/29/14 at 2:45 p.m. We had a minor accident, Highway 87 East at FM 1516. 5/30/14 at 4:02 p.m. And a 911 hang-up call at 2031 Triple Pines. And 5/30/14 at 7:35 p.m. We had a sick person had a seizure at 7139 Highway 18.
Very nice. Very good plan. Mr. Davis,
Yes, ma'am.
what is this civil standby?
Civil
I
standby
don't know
is
if I'm
like,
asking.
this, like if a person needs help to move out of the house or something.
Oh, I got you. Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
Chief's gonna be going to Westbrook for, chief
School for
here
40 hours, that's the whole week. So.
for a week, and we're gonna take the vehicle.
When is this?
The
23rd to the 27th.
Great. Thank you for everything you guys do. I see you patrolling the neighborhoods and all around, and I've had such positive, comments from people. It's nice to see that. Yeah, Mr. Booth, you've done an awesome job.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Mike? Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to congratulate and welcome our two city council people, Mrs. Pollock and Mr. Hardy. Looking forward to working with y'all. All right. China Grove Fire and Rescue Monthly Run Report for the month of May. Total calls for the month, 38. Of that, grass fires, brush fires, we did 8. 1 unauthorized burn. Activated fire alarms, 2. Motor vehicle collisions, 3. And assist the public, 1. First responder calls, these are calls medical in nature, 23. Acadian transported 4 patients from the city of China Grove. And calls broke down by response area. Calls in the city of China Grove, 7. Calls in the county unincorporated area, 16. And mutual aid calls, 15. A brief summary of the calls in the city of China Grove. On May 6th, 2400 block FM 1516 South. This will be case number 164. Medical call for an assault. On the 7th, 2700 block of FM 1516 South. Case number 167. Medical call for cardiac arrest. On the 8th, 6700 block of Highway 87 East. Case number 169. Motor vehicle crash. On the 19th, 1900 block of FM 1516 South. Case number 181, medical call for nausea. On the 24th, 6900 block Highway 87 East. Case number 186, medical call for chest pains. On the 29th, Highway 87 East and Triple Trees. Case number 192, assist China Grove PD. And on May 30th, 7100 block of Highway 87 East. Case number 194, medical call for seizures. We are still in a burn ban. I believe at the next meeting of County Commissioners Court, which will be, I believe, next Tuesday, they will meet and decide if they are going to continue the burn ban or lift it. They have been very lenient, though. We have been allowing quite a bit of burning, weather permit. And just remind again, once the citizens of China Grove, that we do have ordinances in place pertaining to open burning. You do have to obtain a permit, and that is done over the phone by either calling myself or you can call Latoya up here. Either way, we can get you a permit. Again, it's done over the phone. There is no cost. And it is all based on weather conditions for the day and throughout the day. So like I said, again, we ask that please call either City Hall or myself so that we can issue a permit and not a citation.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, I do now, or?
Yeah, great.
Okay. Also at this time, I'd like to remind everyone, City Council, the citizens of China Grove, that we do have an ordinance in place and it's pertaining to the address of your home or residence. And what we're talking about is the numeric address that we need to comply with this ordinance, because we've had some problems in the past of people don't have address affixed to their house or to their fence and where we can see it. And the problem we're having is, we get an address and we pull up to it and there's 4 mailboxes on one side of the street. And so we have to try to figure out which address goes to which house. Bottom line is, it delays us getting to the patient and taking care of the problem. So we're asking the citizens of China Grove to please help us help you by getting an address, because again, this is an ordinance that requires you to have your address, the numerics of your address affixed to your structure, unless it's more than 50 feet from the roadway, then it needs to be on the gate or the fence. Actually, ordinance says on a mailbox. That's what we're trying to get away from, because out in the rural areas, again, to make it easier on the mail service, they put mailboxes on one side. And again, we have to try to figure out what address goes to what house. And so, like I said, it's an ordinance, and we have it. I have it here if anybody would like to take a look at it. I'll leave it up here. But please, again, we're just trying to get the people to help us to help you, because when we're talking about, heart attacks and things like that, seconds count. And if we're out there spending seconds trying to figure out, the correct address, then that's time taken away from the patient. I think, the fire department has done a lot. We've gone to different GPS devices to try to get us to the residents as quick as possible. But GPS is not perfect. Okay, it'll get you in the general area sometimes, but it won't pinpoint the exact address. So actually the problem we have is sometimes you have 4 or 5 mailboxes and they're all across the street. And so we're trying to eliminate that problem. So like I said, if we can get everybody to comply, we're going to put this up on our website for the fire department also. And I'm going to see if maybe the city can get it up on there so everybody can get a look at it so they can comply. Again, it's one of these things that, we're not trying to get anybody fined or ticketed. We just want you to comply so that we can help you out. But, sometimes we catch a lot of grief about it. Well, where y'all been and all that? Well, we were outside trying to figure out the address. So, like I said, again, if y'all could help us to help you, it'd be fantastic. And like I said, you can find us on the China Grove Fire and Rescue website, and I'm going to see if we can get it posted on the city website. Thank you.
I would like to add that help the police department also.
Yes, I'm sorry, yes, it helps the police department. Also, we're first responders. Okay, we're not the transport service. We're not going to be the one to transport you to the hospital. Our job is to get there, do patient assessment, and then start patient care. There's going to be an ambulance coming. And sometimes they post by, and they're actually here before us. So you'll be helping them also. We work hand in hand with them. So again, you'll be helping emergency services to get, to your location a lot quicker. Thank you.
Mike, is Mr. Gerke, you want to come up?
Hey, good to see you.
Yeah, I'm looking with Animal Fireworks, I think. I know some of you, there came by, it's good to see you. The old new faces. So I just have a couple things to say, and then I'm going to check to go through the FD. First of all, we're not doing a demonstration this season, so there's anything to worry about. We're thinking of doing it in December for the New Year's, and hopefully just doing it once. But if that's going to be the case, we'll come to the meeting in November and just give you guys a heads up and answer any questions and anything. Second thing is that we're going to, as we talked about, have security out of the location. Which be make sure by shooting on the property, like we said. And actually, we're talking to the China Grove police to see if we can get a deal with an off-duty officer to be out there. And then finally, I have a $1,000 check for the China Grove GFD.
Fantastic.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
Yes, who are you? We couldn't hear a word you said.
My name is Thank you. I'm with Alamo Fireworks.
Okay.
We're,
Oh, okay.
Our headquarters is located
Yeah, we know.
right here.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm glad I came.
Also tonight we have with us Judge Daniel Rutherford, which is the judge for the city of China Grove.
Yeah, Butch. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council. I hope all of you know that I'm your municipal judge. And I'm here tonight because I have read in the paper some criticism of the court, and I guess I am the court. And so I felt it appropriate, since I did read criticism, I felt it appropriate to come here in person and face you and try to answer the criticism that I've heard and try to explain to you what we're doing and what we have done. So I want to, what I don't want this to be, let me tell you what I don't want to be. I don't want this to sound like a lecture, but I have to talk about the law some. And anytime a lawyer starts talking about the law, it quickly degenerates into a lecture. And I don't mean it to be that way, okay? Please don't take it that way. I want to tell you that even though I serve at the pleasure of the council, and I do serve at the pleasure of this council. Now, I was appointed for a 2-year term, and I'm halfway through that 2-year term. But I want to tell you that I also have to answer to a higher entity. I am, well, as a matter of fact, I have to answer to 2 higher entities. And I don't know if they're higher entities, but I do have to answer to 2 other entities. One is the State Bar of Texas, and I have to adhere to all the disciplinary rules of the State Bar of Texas. In addition to that, I have to adhere to the rules of judicial conduct, and there is in Texas what we call the Texas Judicial Qualifications Commission. And I would venture to say that that commission removes from office, 2, 3 JPs and municipal judges a month, probably, for misconduct. So everything I do, I have to make certain that I am not in violation of one of the judicial canons of ethics or state law. There are a lot of state laws that put limits on the municipal courts. And among others, there are laws in place to ensure that we do not make our court a speed trap court. We are only entitled to establish a certain amount of court cost and then a fine, and then after we reach a certain point, the state gets the money. So it wouldn't make any difference what I fine somebody if I'm in excess of these guidelines set by the state. That money is not going to stay here, it's going to go on to the state. Now, among other things, some of the problems that we have had in our municipal court existed before I came to the court. The big thing is that we had a tremendous backlog of cases. Now, that's not something that I created, or you created, or anybody else here present created, but it's nonetheless a problem that we're faced with and have to deal with. And I want to address that. But before I do, I want to tell you a little bit about, and I believe you visited my court. I invited.
Yes, I have another appointment.
I invited you to come and observe court, and I believe you came, Mr. McCarty, and observed for a while, and I wanted to thank you for it, but you got away before I can't just get up off the bench. I didn't get a chance to say thank you, but I did thank you for
As you saw, Mr. McCarty, I have to tell the defendants that come before me, I have to tell them what their rights are. They have certain constitutional rights guaranteed by the United States and Texas Constitution, and I have to tell them. And I tell them that they can enter one of three pleas. I tell them they can enter a not guilty plea, a no contest plea, or a guilty plea. I tell them, now those are your three legal options, but there is another option, and that is to speak with our city attorney and see if you can work out some sort of plea bargain. And so invariably, I always tell them, I can't give you probation, I can't give you deferred adjudication unless you have talked to the prosecutor and the prosecutor agrees to it and recommends it in a plea bargain. And so then the person will talk to the prosecutor and they will work out a deal. And as a general rule, and we have, now, I know it may sound like I'm being disjointed, but it's real hard. This is such a dynamic situation, it's hard to describe it linearly. But we have a schedule of fines that's published by the city. If you're going certain speed, fine is so much. Certain speed, fine is so much. Okay. When I get the jacket, I get a jacket that's like an envelope, a letter. And on there, it tells me the person's name, tells me what they're charged with, and then it has the fine and the court cost according to our schedule. I'm sorry, I've got something in my eye, and I'm trying to get it out. In any event, I know that when I'm sitting there on the bench, I know what the court cost is, and I know what the scheduled fine is for that offense. So the defendant will talk to the prosecutor, and they will, most of the time, well, as a matter of fact, I can't remember a time when they did, they will work out a plea bargain arrangement. Now, whenever they bring that plea bargain to me as a judge, I have a choice of one of two things. I can either accept that, or I can reject that. I can't say, no, let's get involved here, let's talk about this, I want this or I want that. Because if I do, I'm starting to inject myself into the role of a prosecutor. So I have to stay out of that and just sit there and let them make their deal and either go along with it or refuse to go along. Now, if the deal is anywhere near what the court cost and the scheduled fine is, I'm going to go along with it. Especially when probably 90% of the time, the case is going to be a speeding ticket of 10 miles over the speed limit, 11 miles, 12 miles. This is not aggravated. So if the prosecutor is satisfied, I'm going to be satisfied, and I'm going to approve that negotiated plea bargain. So in that case, which is 90% of the cases that come before me, I don't have a thing to do with the fine or the court cost or anything. All I've done is bless the agreement that the prosecutor has made with the defendant. Now, I've been lucky in that I've had two good prosecutors, and I've got a good prosecutor now, and I've had a good prosecutor. She moved on to bigger and better things, I understand, I'm not sure. But in any event, I have to maintain a good working relationship with that prosecutor, because I can't have that prosecutor mad at me, and I don't want to be mad at the prosecutor. We've got to work together for the court to move it. Because the prosecutor can make life difficult for me, or I can make life difficult for the prosecutor. So we just don't do that. We work together And we stay pretty close to the guidelines for the court cost and the fine. Now, that's what we do on a case that's, let's say that it's a case where they gave the citation in the last 45 days, okay? Now let's talk about for a minute the big back law. The United States Constitution and the Fifth Amendment says that you have the right to be confronted by your accuser. It says you have the right to remain silent, you have a right to a lawyer, and you have the right to cross-examine. All of that is in the Fifth Amendment, not just the right to remain silent. That's what we all hear about, but there's all these other rights in there. Now, if we have a ticket or a case from a year ago or 2 years ago, and the arresting police officer no longer works here and is no longer in the state of Texas, and they bring that case before me, the prosecutor is going to be in a real bind with me to try to get me to convict that person of that offense when there is no police officer to testify what it is the guy did wrong. Because if I just say, well, we need to find these people guilty, we have to keep these fines going. If I take that attitude, the Judicial Qualifications Commission will come in here and jerk me off that bench. And I just can't do that. Plus, it's dishonest. So, with regard to the back law, the sort of unwritten policy has been to just take what we can get. And it's not, I shouldn't say take what we can get, because it's not me. I'm not involved in the process. But I understand we have a warrant officer who goes out, finds these people who never showed up. And whenever he gets there, he gives them a choice of either paying the fine and the court cost or being arrested. And I don't know that they've ever had one where the guy refused. I don't know what happens then. But see, I'm not involved in any of that, and that's not in my jurisdiction. So, with regard to the back law, I, as a judge, sitting here, I have no control over that whatsoever. There's nothing I can issue, there's nothing I can sign, there's nothing I can say which is going to in any way affect that. It's not good. I'm sorry that it's that way, but I can tell you this much. I want to address one other thing in just a minute. Every person that has come into my courtroom, we have disposed of the case that day. Now, there have been, I think, 3 cases since I've been your judge, where I conferred with Chief Davis, and it was obvious that this person was completely and totally indigent, had absolutely zero means of support. And with the chief's input, what we agreed to do was fine him the normal amount, court cost the normal amount, but then order him to do community service. And in one case, where the man said that he attended church on a fairly regular basis, I ordered him to do, I don't remember how many, it's so many dollars per hour. In other words, if it's let me give you a quick example. Let's say it's $10 an hour. What he needs to pay is $100. He's got to sit through 10 hours of community service. So I ordered him to do 10 hours of community service at his church. He was trained as a plumber, but he was crippled, very bad, and couldn't hardly work. I told him, I said, look, you go to your church, you tell the pastor you gotta do 10 hours of community service. See if they got some toilets or plumbing or something that needs to be fixed. If not, get a can of paint, start painting on the church, whatever. But get the pastor to write me a letter and tell me that you've done 10 hours of community service. The other two, I sentenced them to community service at the food bank, to work a certain number of hours at the food bank. And that's the best that I can do, because when I inquired, and I did inquire, about me putting these people in jail that didn't pay a fine, or basically were saying they weren't going to pay a fine. And I was told that we would have to put them in jail in Seguin, and it would cost us $100-something a day. And so I decided that was not a good business judgment for the city. And I didn't see that it would serve a purpose to put a poor person in jail that already were in trouble with for a traffic offense. Now they're here, they have no money, and I'm gonna put them in jail. I just didn't see that that was productive for society. Now, if the council feels that my thinking or my judicial philosophy, if you disagree with it and you think that I'm wrong about these things, I will welcome you to come to my court anytime we meet on the first Tuesday of the month. Now, we won't in July because it's the 4th of July, and as a matter of fact, I've got to try a jury case that week before. But I welcome you to come to my court. It's an open court, and I'm an accessible judge. There may be some things I cannot talk to you about because I am a judge, but I want you to feel like I'm approachable, and I want you to feel like I'm doing the very best I can for China Grove, because I don't want China Grove. I love this town. This was one of my very first clients back in 1965. And I don't want to see this town get a reputation like, say, Selma had. Remember when Selma was the bad kid of the whole state of Texas, and the legislature passed the speed trap laws just to get rid of Selma? I'm not going to do that. You'll have to fire me. So, but you can come and talk to me. You can ask me, Dan, why did you do that in this case? And I'll tell you. I'll tell you what my judicial thinking was. I'll tell you what the legal reasoning was. Because I don't want anybody to think that I don't believe in law and order. Yeah, I'll answer any questions you got.
Judge,
We can't answer any questions,
Is
Judge.
this a public?
No, it isn't. This is public comment. It's-
I have a couple questions.
Will you come to my court next week?
Oh, yeah.
And if you
Well,
will,
maybe we can get you back here on the agenda item.
You
Well-
can do that, or you can do it in a closed session if you want.
well, we had talked about trying to get an executive session, but it just was coming together too fast. This whole thing came together too fast.
One
But I
thing,
appreciate it.
attorney, could I ask him to just explain one thing?
We can't ask any officers. Sorry.
Will you come and see me?
I'll be there.
And if you're ever downtown, I got some good hot coffee. Thank you. Now be excused. Go Squaresville.
Lucille Acosta?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to introduce my wife. This is my wife, Linda.
You mean real boss?
I have said this before, because with the inflation and everything, I think we should raise the tax to get some things in China Grove accomplished. And we ourselves pay probably less than $20 a month in China Grove tax. And I think a lot of some things accomplished that need to be accomplished. And that's all I have to say.
Next round on the agenda is Mr. John Craig.
Mayor, City Council, I'm here because I wanted, now that I'm on this side, I can talk, and now you can see how I felt when I was sitting on that end. You just had a taste of it. And that's why I'm here. I wanted to set the record straight about the way the meetings are run. There were flyers that were sent out, part of it was in the paper about how the past council had changed the way council meetings had changed, you know. Well, we did change it, because we brought on attorneys that taught us the law, and the main reason it changed is because it's the state statute for us. It's the law. And that's why our feet were held to the fire on this. And it's not something we like, but it's something we have to do. And I wanted you to understand that we didn't do it, you know, because we did it because it was the law. It was something we had to do. And I know for a lot of times that we were there, I know people came up here, you people came up and wanted us to answer these questions month after month. You continued to come, even though you were told, and people were told, the way the meeting is run, it's state statute, it's called the Open Meetings Act. And under that act, if you want to have discussion, what you do is you put it on the agenda. And we mentioned that over and over again. But yet, the truth continued to be distorted and made us look like we had changed things. We didn't change anything. This is the same format that the city of San Antonio uses. This is the same thing that other cities use. Same format that all school boards use. This is, like I said, it is the law. And it's the one thing that China Grove was not using prior to us coming on. Before then, you could just jump up and start talking, and the meetings would last forever. There would be jumbled. You could never get your point across. And like I said, if you had an item, you could always put it on the agenda. And that's something that we rarely saw anybody do once we explained it. So I thought I just want to get up here and just set the record straight on the Open Meetings Act, because that was something that just got my call about why people couldn't understand why the meetings had changed, and that's why they did. Thank you.
Does anybody else want to speak before the council?
Sorry, I forgot to sign in. My name is, for the record, my name is Dennis Duck. I just wanted to talk about a little bit about fiscal responsibility as far as the council is concerned, Mayor. What had happened here at a previous meeting was that an ordinance was passed that would allow for a church in a residential area. Okay? This ordinance already exists, and it has a subsection B under the Class 1 zoning ordinance that allows for not only a church in a Class 1 residential, but it allows for a school, a sanctuary, and it has a complete list. And I don't know if nobody on this council that was there caught this. So I was just kind of curious as to why another ordinance was written, and that did cost the city money to do that. And if you would look back onto our zoning ordinance, you will see that. It's under the Class 1, and it's under Conditional Use B. It's called a Conditional Use Permit, and it allows the council to make the same decisions that was made in the ordinance that was written here last month. So I just wanted y'all to know about that, but please watch our ordinances that we already have on file. There's no use in doing a duplicate ordinance. Thank you.
Anybody else want to go for the
Mayor,
council?
please. Good evening. My name is Frank Bennett. I just have one question. Can we, I know you can't do it tonight, but can we put on the agenda to change the time back to 7 o'clock? Because a lot of it doesn't matter to me. But if you get here at 6 o'clock, I'm sure it's pretty tough for some of these guys. Thank you very much.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I would like to make a motion to, put Lynn McCarty as our pro tem.
Do you have any other? Second. Do you have a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Second to the motion. Any discussion?
The way that this works is you would nominate, you would get a second, you would take a vote. If it's a majority vote, there are no more nominations. If there is not a majority vote, then you can nominate.
All those in favor say aye, and having Lynn as Mayor Pro Tem.
Aye.
Did I have a discussion?
Yes, for
I
discussion.
had a discussion.
Past practice, the member who,
I have a motion on the floor.
You're voting, so
And the
do
vote.
we vote, we discuss, or?
they've already voted, so we need to tabulate the votes.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Lynn? 3. Kathy? No vote. How do you vote?
You. Aye.
Aye. Aye. We have a unanimous vote for Lynn Hardy, Mayor Pro Tem. Passed. Item D is consider and act upon amendment to the city budget in the amount of $25,000. Volunteer fire department for the remainder of the fiscal year 2014. Chief Mike Winfield. Do you have a motion? Made the amendment to the budget. They gave them
Question again, what is, explain it a little bit louder, Gene.
Okay,
Where's that microphone?
It's not working tonight, sorry.
When they changed the fiscal year of the city, they went by 4 months instead of 5 months. And the amount that we normally pay the fire department is $60,000 a year, which would be $5,000 a month. There's 5,000, 5 months times 5,000 is 25,000. We'll be running May, June, July, August, and September. The new year starts on October 1st. And if we're adjusting the budget to,
Is that the only item on the budget that we'll have to adjust?
yeah,
Yeah, Councilman, if I could just add to that. There was a suggestion that the council voted on to realign your fiscal year to the September 30, October 1, which is actually, you're not required to follow that, but all of the laws that relate to the adoption of tax rates and adoption of the budget use that schedule. So when the secretary, when the state comptroller puts out the truth in taxation laws, they actually will give you the dates when you receive your appraisal roll from the appraisal district, when you approve it, when you do all of these things. and their you don't even get your appraisal district roll until July 5th. Appraisal. So I'm not entirely sure how the council in the past is able to adopt its tax rates and do all the things they needed to do,
We were always had money.
which I believe was in May. And it's just, it was completely.
Well, we used to give report, it was never in the debt, we wasn't running red and black, so it didn't make that much difference.
But you still have to adopt the tax rate.
Right.
And I really don't know how they did it, but there was a very simple suggestion to simply extend your budget.
I understand, but like we're trying to explain to you, it worked before, so but that's okay.
Yeah, it's already been passed, so we really can't do much. Now we need to approve, so my.
Yeah,
this
apparently
money-
they left one of the months out. That was supposed to be an average
Okay.
expenditure.
That's what I didn't understand.
Okay, well, I'm accepting the motion.
Who made the first one?
I did.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Fire department, thanks you.
Next item on the agenda is presentation by the city engineer, Jim Clements, regarding the street maintenance program.
Pass it down.
Yes.
Cool.
Well, maybe I should have passed that.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, y'all are doing that, I want to take a moment to introduce this young lady who's sitting with me here. Her name's Danielle Frankie, and she's an engineering student out at UTSA. And so she's kind of shadowing me today as part of her curriculum. So y'all say hi to Danielle.